The 1996 Formula 1 season was a turning point for the sport, marked by big driver moves, fresh talent and a clear shift in the competitive landscape. The biggest headline came before the season even started. Michael Schumacher left Benetton to join Ferrari, the beginning of a long rebuild that would later define his career. With Schumacher out of the picture, Williams stepped into the spotlight. Their FW18 was a standout car of the year, and the team had an intriguing driver lineup. Damon Hill, determined to finally secure his world title, and Jacques Villeneuve, an impressive rookie arriving with plenty of height and even more speed. Their battle quickly became one of the season's main storylines. Despite Williams' advantage, 1996 still had plenty of unpredictability. There were difficult weather conditions, mechanical issues, cars that were hard to keep under control, and a mix of standout performances across the grid. We also saw key moments in the careers of future stars, a strong return from Mika Hakkinen after his serious crash the year before. In the end, Damon Hill delivered, becoming the first son of a Formula 1 champion to win the title himself. The season closed out an era and set the foundation for dramatic shifts that would define the late 90s and early 2000s. So come and join me in Automobilista 2 to pilot these impressive machines recreated in this great sim. Today we're taking Eddie Irvine's Ferrari around the Argentinian Grand Prix in Buenos Aires. A short technical layout that really shows what mid-90s F1 cars are like to handle. This track is all about the flow. One missed apex ruins the whole lap. These cars feel great when they're smooth, just like all the cars in this sim, but snaps at the moment you push too hard. Heavy steering, a lively rear end, and that V10 just wants to scream. It's a simple layout, but it's incredibly rewarding when everything clicks. Let's get onto the track and see what I can do with this 96 Ferrari. So here we are on the grid then. I think starting in P17, yep, if I'm correct, and we're waiting for the 5 green lights to go out, and here we go. Great start by us. Shoot at the inside. I do struggle sometimes in this game to really get a good start, but we'll make the most of it considering how bad I am. Up the inside now, I've John Lacey, giving me a bit of room. The AI definitely on this game's improved over the last couple of years, and this combination running this week has been such a delight to just get my hands on. Settling into this first lap now of traffic, so trying not to outbrake myself as I follow it round into this beautiful sweeping right. Can see John Lacey in my mirrors there, still pushing me through the corner. Go a bit wide, it gives John Lacey the chance in his Benetton to shoot up the inside here. Strong sweeping right, you'll see throughout the race I struggle to fully commit to that corner, which is quite ironic considering it's one of the only corners on this track you can actually fully commit to. Beautiful left right there, and now onto the back infield of the track. Such a gorgeous track. This week was the first week I'd actually ran the Argentinian Grand Prix in Buenos Aires. Powering out, coming onto the last corner, onto the start-finish straight for the first lap. I've been really enjoying these cars this week. Full power now, opening it up, trying to jump out on the outside of Johnny Herbert. Oh, see some lock up further down and between, I think it might have been Hill and somebody else. Maybe one of the, or his teammate, or one of the Saubers. I definitely think AMS2 is, you know, an F1 heavy content game, especially the vintage stuff. I think it's where it shines. As I shoot up the inside there, as the Sal, both Johnny Herbert and Denise get caught up on each other. That all slightly touched the grass there, makes me run wide a little bit, maybe giving Herbert another chance at the inside, but we managed to hold him off. Driving Eddie Irvine's Ferrari today. Decided to not go for the obvious choice of the Williams that was so dominant in the 1996 season, but you know, the Ferrari F310 was a very interesting car of the year. It was quick. It got second in the constructors. I think more down to Michael Schumacher overperforming the car. Now for starting the season with that low nose, I think the only car on the grid that still had that low nose setup, so everyone else had gone to that higher nose. It was a lot more aero efficient, as once again Herbert jumping up the inside. The game really does feel great when you're defending, just as much as we get hit there on the left corners. I'll brake a little bit early maybe into the sweeping left. Of course, the 90s having some of the best liveries. Whether it's my nostalgia, you know, poking through, but I definitely think the 90s have some of the most notorious liveries in F1 history. Very much of the time. Notable standout this year is the gold Jordan that went gold about 5 or 6 races into. I think he started a bit of a dull yellow, and I don't think it ever caught on compared to the gold that of course was a B&H car, which was stunning, and the Benetton behind was very nice, and of course the Williams, Rothmans and Williams of this year was just impeccable. You know, just sitting into the race, I have the tyre wear on 4 times I believe for this race, so, and fuel set for no refueling. Just found it easy that the AI worked themselves out if we just all overfueled the cars, and had the no fuel on the pit stops required. And now as the tyres are starting to feel a bit past the best of, can see up ahead of me that of Jack Villeneuve is only 1 second up the road. You know, just in front of him was the 2 McLarens, and as I'm just trying my hardest here to defend against Johnny Herbert. Strange this week, been struggling to sort of find the time. I think we all do as aging gamers. I'm in my 30s now, to find the time to really sit down and get time to do some sim racing. So Automobilista 2 really stands out as something you can sort of just jump in and, you know, flick some settings around and have some really good racing between you and the AI. John Lacey is still pushing up the inside and having to give him a little bit of room, and it's costing me a little bit of time to the cars ahead. Of course, Eddie Irvine in real-time Argentinian Grand Prix finished P5, so it'd only be a couple of places for me to recreate that accurately. AMS2 feeling way better recently since the developers have made it so all the cars come with a very much improved default setup. You know, before you had to sort of fish around to try and find the correct setup to make the cars feel good. These still occasionally feel a bit floaty for a car that I presume had quite a lot of mechanical grip and decent downforce, but as long as you don't push 100% in this game, I do feel like that slidiness, you know, and the floatiness that people talk about so much doesn't really show its worst side. And this mod that was created by Lady Crossetti is just so impressive. The liveries are perfect. He does have a an XML selector, or I'm almost sure that's what you call it, where you can select sort of the different driver moves mid-year or the livery changes mid-year. It really is an impressive mod. He does have a few on his Overtake GG page. You go and check them out. Here now I'm doing something that I probably should have done before the race even began, which is trying to find and select the right tyre strategy. You can do the pit stop strategies before you even start the race, which in hindsight is probably a better way, as I've still got John Lacey here, even though both of us have sort of settled in by this lap 6 to try and catch up with Villeneuve ahead and Frentzen, but still got John Lacey just following me all the way through, as I can see as the tyres now really starting to begin to struggle. I think 5 or 6 laps for me on these tyres was sort of the best I could do, depending on how hard I'd been on them. Following both through here, as I mentioned earlier, the Rothman's liveried Williams is just simply a beautiful car.
Sixth place. The gap is now 0.21.
And as we come round now the penultimate corner, everyone jumps into the pits. It leaves me a bit shocked that I thought maybe I'd be able to extend the stints a little bit more, but probably should have followed everyone else into the pits. As we go down the start finish straight now, so I'll request the pit stop in at the end of this lap. Do sort of have a feeling now that maybe I'm going to struggle on these definitely tyres that have passed the best on this in lap now. Yeah, and the V10s, the first time driving these 90s V10s, you have 2 styles in AMS2 that are all generic cars, other than I believe the McLaren of the year in this pack, in this Gen 1 version, but you do also have the Gen 2 that has traction control, more based on the late 90s, early 2000s V10 era of Formula 1. Yeah, as you can just see here, I'm starting to wash out, and tyres are really past the best now, and struggling to get heat into them. I'm struggling to get heat into the tyres the whole race. So I did try another custom setup that I found via the time trial, but it just didn't feel stable. I could definitely be quicker, but I was struggling to keep it together for the full time here now as I brake, trying to find the entrance to the pits.
Your exit looks clear, stay behind the line.
Come out now as my exit's clear, but I have lost a bit of time to the cars in front that I was battling before the pit stops, but not too much far up the road, about 4 seconds. Shouldn't be too far out of reach as long as I get these tyres up to temp and keep all 4 of those tyres on the road. As I said earlier, the Automobilista 2 definitely does have a problem where I feel like on other sims I'm able to push more at the 100% mark and not initiate that weird sort of physics slidiness where tyres almost seem to all sort of ungrip at the same time. You know, it seems as the first safety car comes out, as you return now, as we come back just after that safety car, of course, now getting a better start than Lacey. I jump up the outsiders, I brake a little bit later than Lacey. He does pop his nose back up again, but managed to hold him off. As you can see up ahead, the 2 McLarens of David Coulthard and Mika Hakkinen are battling, which is just sort of bringing us behind a little bit more into it as we go round Denise a lap vehicle. as we have another safety car now that should take us just past the halfway point, which it does as we come down the start-finish straight. Now I'm going to get another run straight out of that last corner onto the start-finish straight on Jacques Villeneuve as he jumped back up the inside as he's holding his line. I get a bit of snap of oversteer as my tyres are cold. Now I'm going to try and chase down the two McLarens. Of course, the red and white livery still been so prevalent on McLarens throughout the 90s, and sort of wish that they still had that type of livery on the current grid in Formula 1. Really is such an iconic colour set from the McLarens. And I do have the mechanical faults, failures at quite a high times rate, I think, in these races. I think more like a times 4, or it might be times 3 or times 4, just to sort of help with that realisticness of cars. You know, nowadays the cars being so, as we lock up there, as we shoot up unintentionally up the inside of Hakkinen, as Coulthard and Hakkinen did break a little bit early there, and surely flat spotted that left hand side wheel. Now, as you can see in this sim, it's very well modelled, as Jacques Villeneuve now jumps back up the outside as I'm sort of getting it all crossed up now, as got to try and keep ahead now, as don't sort of want to be battling with John Alesi if I can help it, as he's still, but here he is, he will get a run on us down the inside now, as I'll try and hold on that side on the brakes a little bit later, as Villeneuve on the grass in front, he should give us a run now on this sweeping right as we're keeping John Alesi behind.
The guy in front is Villeneuve.
No, definitely not my quickest era of Formula 1 this, but it's just so much fun to jump in and really get your teeth into these cars and sort of feel what it would be like to sort of drive such snappy cars of the 90s, and definitely a lot less planted than the current Formula 1 regulations, and even the 2000s that of course had traction controls and semi-driver aids, and these cars really coming away from that era of driver aids that were so prevalent in the 1992 and 1993 season. Of course, some people turning off the safety cars and stuff in this sim, not really wanting to be interrupted, but I do think it does throw in quite an interesting sort of dynamic around pit stops and strategy, having these safety cars, and maybe not so realistic at the time, as it took quite a lot for safety cars to really be called out compared to the modern era, but definitely frees up me with a bit of strategy intrigue when it comes to what tyres select and sort of when to pit, and as we're sort of stuck in 6th here, sort of deciding on what time we should pit and what's the best time to come in, as Villeneuve has struggled from basically the majority of the race here to just get past these two McLarens. Of course, the 96 season being even more interesting in the terms of historically for Formula 1, as Damon Hill would become the first son to clinch that F1 world title after his father had done so. The later one being in 2016 when Nico Rosberg did it, of course, after his father. Struggled a lot with this race, with this sort of back chicane. As we're a bit closer on this, as we try and get a bit of a better entry now and see if we can get a run on Jacques Villeneuve and the two McLarens. Mick Hakkinen this season really shown himself that he was that he really was going to be potentially future champion, when going on to win 2 world championships later in the 90s. As we finally get around Jacques Villeneuve now, it's important for us to try and get round these McLarens before I've got to come in for that pit stop. Sort of want to give myself about 7 laps on that last stint of soft tyres. As the left front really is a little bit past its best after that big lock-up going into that back chicane. Those Coulthard there picks up a load of dirt there as he goes offline. Still trying to follow both of these McLarens through here. When they're not battling, they are a lot quicker here. As you can sort of see in the telemetry on the left hand side, Damon Hill is fighting his way back through the pack here.
15, right behind Rossett. The pit crew is ready.
He's now coming to me, potentially my final pit of the race here. I sort of want to get in and undercut, being a lot more powerful. It seems always a lock up there as I just about get it stopped for the pit stop. Coming out in P15 here now, really need to make this outlap and a few laps after it, just as quick as I can. Yeah, never racing at Buenos Aires before, this week being the first time I sort of jumped into the sim as I'm doing a mini F1 1996 championship. I really enjoy it. It's a gorgeous track, it really is. It's sort of understandable why they came away from the track, you know, not being the greatest for overtaking, realistically only having 1 or 2 spots where overtaking was possible if you weren't going to sort of send a dive bomb or really commit to a crazy move.
Just in front.
Now as you can hear over my crew chief that a lot of these cars now are starting to pit a lap after I did, so definitely think they were struggling on the tyres towards the end of their stint. So and by my surprise I managed to jump both of the McLarens, which was just pure as a lock up here into that first corner, just trying to keep with Gerhard Berger in the other Benetton. As we sort of get into the last quarter of this race now, I'm really trying to push the limits and getting a lot more and more comfortable with the car as the laps go on here. I think I'd like to do some more Formula 1 content going forward, especially in Automobilista 2. There's so much variety that you can sort of select and hand pick and do some really iconic races. You know, it seems that Gerhard Berger is really struggling, trying to get a run down the start finish straight into turn 1. I go look to the outside as he holds the inside and
still there, clear right.
Definitely doing some great battling here with the Benettons in this race. Following as close as I can through this beautiful sweeping section. Oh, as the Benetton engine all of a sudden chucks out a load of white smoke. This thing really does impress with its visuals sometimes, as surely it will be a retirement for Gerhard Berger here, and promote us to a net P2 here in the race, just behind our teammate who was held P1 for a majority of the race, but as Damon Hill now, he's fresh on my heels and definitely a lot more of a quicker car than me. Yeah, there he goes, Berger jumps into the pits there. It's a chance for me to try and gain on Schumacher. Has also pitted, that gives us a net P1. Schumacher's also pitted, whether he's had some sort of trouble or he's only just come out of the pits from his tyre change, so this now gives us P1 with 3 laps to go. In I've got Damon Hill all over the back of me and not too far behind David Coulthard and John Alacy. Definitely had to run the hour a little bit lower around this track, as AMS2 does have a bit of inconsistency when it comes to errors. A great move there, very aggressive by Damon Hill, sort of trying to shoot up the inside, but managed to hold it round the outside and hold it off maybe for another lap. It does sort of feel like it's going the way of not being able to hold him off for the remaining 4 laps of this race. Must have been quite a terrifying sight, but slightly humbling during the 96 season, having this Williams in your rearview mirrors. He once again shoots as we'll have a drag race down the start finish straight here. Me just managing to get a bit of a cleaner exit out of that final corner. Tyres definitely hanging on towards this last stint. I definitely think I started to understand more that you really couldn't over-rotate the car too much. If you did, you just decide I get a snap. But as the safety car comes out, and that safety car turned out to be, as I lock up now in this final lap, coming around the corner, that safety car being for Michael Schumacher, who ironically actually went out in the real life Argentinian Grand Prix due to retirement. Here as Damon Hill fully understands it's his last chance to sort of get round there, as we really are starting to more and more understand the cars as the race goes on. Now as we get a little bit of freedom from behind as the gap opens up to 1.1, as once again I'll let off a little bit there into the fast sweeping right, just not having that commitment on these cold tyres. Been such a great race here. I've really enjoyed myself, and I definitely think just having a little taste of history and sort of what it would be like, the closest to I'll ever come to what it would be like to really drive in 1996 around such an iconic track. And as we come out the last corner, I couldn't be happy with myself that I managed to get P1 after starting P17. What a race, it's been great.